Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
Designer of the AR-7, AR-10, AR-15, AR-180, the Stoner 63, and several other firearms. The AR-10 was the basis of the AR-15, and which in turn spawned the very widely used M16.
All right. Again, we're having a technical error. Sorry, Kanani.
Yeah.
But here you go. Let's restart there.
Alrighty. November 22nd is remembered as the birthday of the late Eugene M. Stoner. Born 1922, died April 24th, 1997. He was the designer of the AR-7, AR-10, AR-15, AR-180, the Stoner 63, and several other firearms. The AR-10 was the basis of the AR-15, which in turn spawned the very widely used M16 and all of its variants, including the M4 Carbon. It has been estimated that as many 3.7 million rifles from the AR-15 family are owned by civilians in the United States, and military production M16 variants well exceeds 8 million rifles. One of the most interesting aspects of Mr. Stoner's legacy is the modular nature of the AR-15 platform. The dizzying number of options available for almost every part of the AR-15 platform, from the lower receiver to gas systems to stocks to barrels to optics, means Stoner's little poodle shooter, as the Vietnam vets called the rifle, has grown up.
You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, give us a call at 928-1440. So yeah, today's the birthday of the late great Eugene Stoner. Some pretty cool stuff there. I mean, that guy really did invent, a weapon that was ahead of its time. And reading about all this stuff right there, Kanani, I didn't know that he designed the AR-7. I did know that he designed the AR-10 kind of as a precursor to the AR-15. In the NRA museum, they have the first 3 Stoner guns, and they were all AR-10 308s. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of, cool, I guess, to see it go from the traditional 308 cartridge to what most militaries were using at the time, and necking it down to that 5.56. It definitely changed things in a big way. All throughout the military, even now, even in the Russians, right after that in 74, they started coming out with the AK-74, the 5.45 round, which is basically a Russian AR version.
Oh, okay.
So it's an AK-47, but it just shoots, it's a 5.45 instead of a 5.56. So
the diameter is just a bit different.
Just a little bit, a little bit different, and that was the Russians' answer, because basically we were shooting those 223s at them and 5.56, and it was doing a lot of damage because they're going real fast, and it's that little high velocity. So the Russians actually ended up nicknaming that I'm sure it sounds much cooler in Russian, but the poison bullet. So whatever that is in Russian, if you know how to say it, poison bullet. Demeter, give us a call. So anyway, with them naming that, they decided, hey, I think we should make our own poison bullet, and that's where we see the AK-74. So I think that's kind of a...
Well, I think it's also interesting to note here that the AR has grown up. Think of it from the Vietnam era to today. Of course, not everybody knows that it did start out as the AR-10, as we pointed out. But since that time, we went into the Vietnam War telling people, hey, look, here's our new rifle. Mattel's helped us make it.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't have to clean it. It's going to work flawless for you. You'll do much better. And then what happens? Oh, my God. Rifles get jammed. They're not working. They won't come apart. They're hitting enemies, and it's not taking them down. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Right.
But since the Vietnam War to today, the AR-15 has changed so much. It's unbelievable. They've gotten rid of a lug, so you get a better lockdown. You don't have to worry about it jamming up as much.
Chrome-lined most of the barrels.
Right. And, yes, it's okay to clean your AR. So,
no kidding.
those are good things. I mean, there's a number of things that they've changed on these weapons. And nowadays, it's like working on a 350 engine. I mean, you can change and modify, rechange and modify, and rechange and modify. And I guarantee you next year there'll be new products out, and you'll change and remodify again.
Yeah, I mean, I have literally modified the same rifle 3 or 4 times, just with different handguards and stocks and sights, and I changed the color on it, and that's part of the fun of building AR-15s and owning them, I mean, it's because you can customize it, and like you were saying, Joe, you can, next year there's going to be something even cooler out there, and you can just keep that moving.
Yep.
And you can either add it on to your existing rifle, or you can get a new rifle and get those cool new things,
And here's another thing. How many other weapons are there out there that you can literally build from the ground up?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, there are, like the AK kits and stuff, but it's nothing to my knowledge that you can just kind of slap together without the use of normal tools. I mean, with an AR, you just need a basic, you don't really need tools.
Right. I mean, anybody can really put together an AR. That's the great thing about it. It's like having a Volkswagen. You can take it to any blacksmith and he can work on the engine. I mean, that's originally why the Volkswagen was designed, was to make something so simple that anybody could work on it. And that's basically what they've done here with the AR. Now, granted, the AK has a bigger, better name, and I think a lot of that has to do with the mass production that the AK has gone through and how many countries Russia was willing to sell to, whereas America maybe wouldn't have, even though America has sold so many of their ARs around the world. So, yes, we do see that the AK has a bigger name, but I think that the AR platform, I enjoy it, and I like it a lot.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think it's one of the best platforms out there that we have right now.
Yeah, they're great guns. I mean, just in the beginning article here, 3.7 million ARs are owned by civilians, and I would think that's probably a low number.
Yep, it probably is, because, we count cars, or we count homes and how many cars. I mean, how many surveys do you think are really taken out there of homes and how many weapons? And then the amount of people that are in home versus how many weapons are in the home. I don't think these are statistics that are really grabbed out there very much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would be, because it'd be kind of hard to, you ask somebody, do you have a gun in your house? Yes, I do. But that doesn't answer how many. They're just assuming that most people have their one gun or whatever. But there are people that collect guns that might have 3, 4, or 5, or 10 guns. So that's where it comes in. The unknown comes into play. Then that's why I think there's probably more than that. Probably closer to even 5 million.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, not at all.
And here's another thing too: is the AR platform has become a fad almost.
Totally.
It's what everybody of our generations want to have at home. It's not just the pistol for home protection or the shotgun anymore.
Right.
The AR seems to be a great thing, and we find that while it's a high-powered rifle, not always are the rounds going to go through multiple walls. Not always is it going to go through multiple people and do bad things. Sometimes these weapons can be good for home protection.
Yeah.
Especially when you're using the right ammunition.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, even with standard 55 grain full metal jacket from a 223. That has it'll fragment and deform quicker than a 9mm will even, just because it's going so fast. So with that right there has something going for it for home defense.
Right, because once people out there, what Matt's basically saying is deforming and fragmenting. Because it's a small item, when it hits something, it tends to tumble. When it tumbles, you have more surface area, which are going to hit other surface areas, large mass versus large mass. You're going to get some deforming on the projectile, which is going to help slow it down.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's like, everything that's in between the muzzle and the target is slowing the bullet down. So, and that's something that, and with the ARs too, I mean, they're easy to shoot, they're easy to reload, there's not a whole, there's virtually zero recoil, so, you put that up against something like a 12 gauge, yeah, a 12 gauge is a showstopper, but, it also might not be the best choice for somebody who doesn't know how to handle a firearm very well.
Very true. It's funny you say that, because in our shop, Tactical Guns and Gear, we've had ladies that were so afraid of pistols. We let them try our AR, and they're just they come back with this huge smile and talk about how easy it is to operate, how easy it is to keep pointed in a certain direction.
Yeah, exactly. Or it'll reinforce it. They'll say, well, the last time I shot a rifle was just as an example, whatever, a 270 or a 300 Win Mag, some hunting gun that they shot that had a big old wallop to it, and now you give them an AR-15 that only weighs a few pounds and it doesn't recoil, and they're fun and they're pleasant to shoot.
Right.
And that. I guess all that stuff kind of brings us into what we were going to talk about for today's show. We were going to talk about originally just 5 good guns to bring to a gunfight. And that kind of evolved to some other stuff, so we'll talk about it as we get into it. But first, we're going to go ahead and break into a break, and we'll be back more on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani.
You're listening to On the Firing Line on the information station.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Have you been looking for a new or used motorcycle or all-terrain vehicle?
With a staff that has a combined 270 years of experience to inspire and help you make that informed decision.
Santa Maria Motorcycles is your one-stop shop, and their mission is to provide you with that ultimate experience.
They also have rentals, so you can take that ride you have been dreaming of up the coast.
They're located at 2022 Presker Lane in Santa Maria, or give Chris and his team a call at 805-928-3668. Again, that's 805-928-3668.
We're happy to have a special guest here today at the Plumbing Talk Studios, Jeremy Griffin, owner of Griffin Plumbing in Orcutt. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jeremy, the reason your plumbing company is called Griffin Plumbing is that your last name is, in fact, Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable. Griffin, just like the legendary creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move, Jeremy.
I'm a genius.
To name your plumbing company after this majestic creature. A creature known not only to have divine power, but also to be a protector from all things evil.
Well, it is my last name.
Audience, listen carefully. If your plumbing devices are threatened in any way, I implore you to seek the power and protection of the Griffin.
We're always here to help. Just give us a call.
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
Welcome back to On the Firing Line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani.
That's right, you're back on the firing line. Give us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, give us a call at 928-1440. All right, so we're going to get into a little discussion here on things that you should probably have with you if you're planning on getting into a gunfight. Now, it might raise the question, why would you plan on getting into a gunfight? Well, in reality, you're really not planning on getting into a gunfight, but we have to...
What? Maybe you should. Maybe you should plan on it, just like you plan on a fire being at your house.
And that was very much my point. When I started, thinking about stuff like this, something that came into my mind that reminded me of it was the whole FEMA thing. Where they say, okay, you should have 3 days of food, water, and medications and stuff in your house. And I kind of started thinking, well, if things went bad enough in our town or our country, state, whatever. Maybe you should also have 3 days worth of fighting supplies, of ammunition and cleaning supplies and things of that nature. Because, hopefully we can all just sit in the house and wait it out, but that might not be the case.
Well, my favorite was always just grab the AR, grab a backpack, and put as much 5.56 in it as you can, because you can get whatever else you need after that.
Yeah, once you have, yeah, exactly. Once you have the basis for it, yeah, that's one part of it. And there's people that, they have a plan for, whatever it is, some sort of society breakdown or something, and that part of their plan is going out and robbing other people. Well, we don't need to collect because we have guns, and we're just going to go marauding and rob people. One of those lunatics was on Doomsday Preppers and was on the show actually saying stuff like that, and he actually got picked up by the FBI the week after it aired. And I don't know if he got charged with anything, but
I'm sure they had some questions.
I'm sure it was a slap on the hand. You can't go on the air and say you're going to start kicking in doors.
Look at the show we're talking about. On that very same show, we had a guy shoot his thumb off.
Yes.
So, I mean...
Okay, yeah, so the validity in that's kind of null and void.
But I would say I don't think it's too far off, though. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who believe the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, or at least along the same lines of it,
Right.
Won't disagree with you.
Yeah, well, they also said that if they legalized guns, there'd be shooting in the streets.
Well, yeah, because instead of just, talking about it, we'd, take 10 paces, turn around, and shoot. I mean, that's the obvious way to do things.
Sir, I'd like your water, please.
Yeah. No. Let's go outside and settle this. Click, clack. All right. So we're going to start with a couple things. Rules for a gunfight. And, if you guys, anybody listening that has any better ideas or anything for rules for a gunfight, give us a jingle and let us know. Jim's got his hand up.
I got a question because it's been annoying me ever since I've seen it. What kind of guns does SEAL Team 6 use? Because those things don't even make a noise. They go pop.
Well, the
pop.
ones... They use an array of guns, but the ones that you're hearing or not really hearing are suppressed, meaning they have what is widely known as a silencer, which is actually called a suppressor. Basically, you attach that to the end of the barrel, and it traps the gases from escaping. Therefore, it doesn't have the boom, the report when the round leaves.
Although, if you're a Californian, I wouldn't worry about that much.
Yeah, in California, it's not really an issue. But as far as SEAL Team 6 goes, absolutely. And that's, having a suppressor on your gun does multiple things for you. When you're, especially like in a team like that, those guys got to communicate a lot. And if you're shooting guns that aren't suppressed, and it's going to be a lot harder to hear, and so on and so forth.
I want a high point because I saw a SEAL Team 6 using one. Whoopsh. There is some funny stuff to that.
Yes. Oh, man.
We get people come into the shop all the time and say, I want this gun. And we say, well, why? Because that's what SEAL Team 6 uses.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Exactly. And, or, it's video game stuff, too. Same stuff. We'll have a gun and everybody know, like, for example, the Tavor, the civilian versions, they're called Tavors. The military ones, I think, are called TAR-21s. So somebody will come in, and if somebody calls it a TAR-21, I immediately know they have probably never fired a gun in their life, and they only are basing it off of a video game, because nobody calls it a TAR-21 unless you're in the Israeli army. So, that's another thing that we deal with in the shop. People come in and they say they want to buy a gun, and they give us the name that's in the video game. And then we kind of have to decipher, oh, you mean you want a Beretta? It's that type of stuff.
And it never fails, the little 10-year-old kids that come in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's an ACR on the wall.
Yeah, it's always the kids that are probably less than teenage know what every single gun on the wall, every military gun on the wall is.
I fired one of those.
Yeah. That's my...
on my video.
Or even more, somebody will come up and go, oh, cool, ACR. That's my favorite gun. And I'm like, oh, you shot it? And they go, well, yeah, in the video games. Okay, yeah. My favorite gun, too, I guess.
Oh, shoot.
All right, so rules for a gunfight. Anyway, like I said, we encourage you guys to give us a call at 928-1440 if you have any rules for the gunfight that you would like to add. So we'll just kind of get into it, and you guys jump on in. Bring a gun.
That's the first rule of a gunfight.
Yeah, hell, bring two.
I mean, really, there should be no rules at all when it comes to a fight.
Yeah.
person who brings rules is usually going to lose.
Is going to lose.
But in this case, there is one golden rule.
Yeah, bring a gun.
Bring a gun.
Yeah, and I guess if you're gonna say a golden rule of a gunfight, it's don't get shot.
Wow, that's important.
But obviously, yes, bring a gun.
So there are a couple of rules.
Yeah. I mean, it's more important to not get shot than it is to bring a gun.
Yes, you can shoot his ear off.
Yeah, it was a warning shot. It was a grazing shot. So, okay, so bring a gun, bring all your friends who have guns. If you're planning on getting in a gunfight, if there's a group of marauders, again, there's that word, down the street, and they're going to come into your house, and you have to go take them out, then yeah, get your friends together, everybody who has a gun.
Superior firepower.
That's how you win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how you get peace. All right. Anything worth shooting once is worth shooting twice.
In the face.
In the face. This is true.
Did you hear her? That was a girl that said that.
Yeah. Well,
in the face.
No,
in the face.
Ammo's cheap, life is expensive. So, I mean, that's absolutely true, though. Yes, it's a saying, but, I mean, it's 100%. If you are justified in pressing the trigger once, then you may as well do it until the threat has stopped.
That's just it. That's my point. If anybody's seen our video that was posted up on Tactical Guns and Gears, Matt and I are engaging a
terrorist suspect.
A terrorist suspect. Matt dumps the first few rounds in, and then you see me off to the side, still going bang, 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 bang. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, Joe, you really killed him." I was like, "Well, he never went down, so I had to keep shooting him."
Shooting, yeah.
The threat's not over until he's down.
And that, in reality, I mean, that is what you do. And when you see these things come out in the news where police officers shoot suspects 17 times or 34 times. And that's a lot of times because they were on drugs. Half those shots were missed shots.
Yep.
And, by the time the guy's actually down and the fight's done, it took that much.
The human body is an amazing thing.
Oh, totally.
It can take hits. Don't think like the movies. Oh, I shot him in the head and it's done. Poof. It just doesn't work that way unless you've got the perfect round. Like a 50 cal, that'll do it.
Pretty much 50 cal.
I mean, you can just go 1 inch by them and it'll rip their arm off. But when you're dealing with pistols and rifles and stuff like that, yeah, they can take multiple shots. And just because you hit them in a vital area doesn't mean they're going to go down. Even if you hit them in the heart, the body can still live for how long?
Right, well, it takes a few minutes. I mean, yeah, keep in mind you're getting severe chest trauma, but, I mean, you have to bleed out. Right. And as you're doing that, your adrenaline is raising so much that what a lot of time ends up happening when somebody is bleeding out, it will seem like they're dead, and then they'll kind of have this regeneration, and that's the adrenaline dump kicking back in after a couple minutes. Right. So that's where, again, you have to be very careful. You might think you've downed the threat, and then so you maybe holster your gun and you start issuing first aid to somebody, and before you know it, the guy's back up with the gun again with, I mean, it's going to be the last thing he ever does, but it's basically his death rattle.
Well, some people like Magpul, some people don't in the trainers, Travis and
Chris
Costa. And I watched one of the videos, and one of the things that kind of stuck in my head made a lot of sense. They like doing weapons manipulation in what they call their platform or their work area.
Workspace, yeah.
And in your workspace, you try to present it so that you can still see in your peripheral what's going on.
Yep.
And one of the stories that they told as a backline for this was that there was a guy in, I think it was Iraq, that had taken down a subject, shot him. The guy fell. He ducked behind a car, was doing manipulation of his firearm, whether to reload or something. Yeah. When he popped back up, the guy was right in front of him and dumping rounds into him. And that guy is now, I think he's paraplegic, isn't he?
Yeah, he didn't die, but yeah, he's paraplegic. But yeah, I mean, so that's a perfect example. I mean, he shot the suspect. The guy, he saw with his own eyes physically the guy hit the dirt.
Right.
He went back behind cover, did a reload. When he poked back out, the guy was like 3 feet away with an AK-47 shooting at him.
That's some scary stuff there.
Yeah.
So when Matt's talking about the rules of a fight and what to bring and stuff like that, these are all the kind of things that we've been thinking about to put into this to come up with this information.
Yeah, I mean, it's information from everywhere. A lot of these rules, quote rules that we're talking about are from the late, great Colonel Jeff Cooper, who really was kind of the grandfather of a lot of the stuff as far as tactical shooting goes on today. I also see, there's a couple from Wyatt Earp and the Marine Corps. But let's keep going here. So this is the one from Wyatt Earp that I really like. Only hits count. The only thing worse than a miss is a slow miss. And that's from Wyatt Earp. And that's basically what he's saying right there is take your time, front sight, nice squeeze, and there you go.
Well, that's true. Kanani, looked like you were going to say something.
Oh, I was actually just going to add, no, that's exactly right, because when you take that extra split second to ensure your target and you hit it, that's going to mean more than just praying and spraying and hoping that.
Right.
Well, yep, and here's another thing to think about. When you start getting into a firefight, your adrenaline's going to go up. Everything around you is going to become like a bubble. You're going to be in this like little tunnel vision you kind of get. And I don't know if it's like, have you ever been in a car accident?
Yes.
Everything slows down for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
But everything's really happening really fast.
Yeah, but it's like moment in time. Yeah.
Well, when you're in a gunfight and everything slows down and you miss that slow miss,
there it is.
That's what the whole statement is. And you will literally be wearing your brown pants.
Yeah.
Because that thing is scarier than, oh my God, it's going so slow and I still missed him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the moral of the story, I mean, it's just kind of like we were saying with right before that, as far as putting a threat down, shot placement goes a long way. Yeah, there are plenty of documented times where one shot took somebody down, but at the same time, it goes, you can't, like Joe just said, I mean, you can just squeeze and maybe you'll hit at the arm, maybe you'll get a through and through in the body somewhere, but that's not going to be something that's going to, that's not going to ring their bell and put them out for good.
Yeah, I think for as many instances where there is a single shot puts them down, more shots putting someone down and they don't go down is probably about even.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would think that it's probably, like right on the, wobbler, we'll call it.
Right.
The wobbler.
My favorite word. All right, this is one that I heard when I was out in Camden. If your shooting stance is good, you're probably not moving fast enough or using cover correctly. And what they're saying, usually, you have your shooting stance. We all here prefer the isosceles style stance where, you're squared off with your target and your arms are straight out in front of you. Now, if you're moving, it's going to be really hard to maintain an isosceles stance. It's going to be virtually impossible.
That's one of the great things about the isosceles stance, is your lower half of the body is separate from the upper half.
Exactly, and you're right. That is the beauty of it, because you can still maneuver your legs and keep your upper torso relatively still.
Right, even if you're moving, from side to side.
Yep. You just got to learn how to isolate it,
And so, while a good stance, he's absolutely right. If you're running up and you're waiting until you get right in front of your target and you've got the perfect shot, well, then you're doing it wrong. Sorry. Because the truth of the matter is you're going to try to get that round off as fast as you can, on target as fast as you can.
Right.
Stopping the threat.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that means taking an angle from taking an angle shot that maybe you've never practiced for, that you should have.
Oh yeah, big time. And it's, and then imagine too, using the cover part of it. If you go into cover and then you might be presented with taking a shot where you see like urban prone, where you're laying on your side and it looks kind of weird, like what the heck are you doing shooting laying on your side like that? But sometimes that's the only way to get the trajectory of that round. So that's, it's just, you don't have a stance when you're laying on your side, as long as you have your sight picture, sight alignment, and trigger press, that's the big part.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of stability off the simple fact that you've got 200 pounds, well, in my case, a little over 200 pounds, laying flat on the ground, or pretty much all my weight's on the ground instead of just on 2 feet, which are basically 2 posts, sticking up, and I've got to balance myself on.
Yep. And even just think too, if you're at cover and you're leaning around cover to take a shot, yes, you're trying to keep your body, your core straight and get, that good isosceles stance with your arms and your core, but your body is still shifting far left or far right. But, so, again, it's not the perfect stance, but at least if you're doing it right, you're going to be able to control the recoil of the gun and so on and so forth. You just don't want to compromise your stance so much to where you start shooting the gun and all of a sudden you lose balance.
Yeah.
because I've seen it happen. I've done it. All right.
I've seen people do it.
Yeah, maybe even me.
No, I can't say I have.
All right. So, another rule for a gunfight. Move away from your attacker. Distance is your friend. That's usually going to be true. There will be circumstances where you're going to have to press the threat. That's an extreme circumstance that you're going to have to decide on the fly, but there will be a circumstance, where you're going to have to go towards a threat to engage. If you're in a mall, for instance, and there's people left and right running in between you and a target, it might behoove you to maneuver to cover or position where you can shoot from a closer, distance without endangering civilians, I guess.
I think
Innocents.
that goes back to why we train. We train to get ourselves ready for hopefully anything that might come our way. And you have to remember that when you're dealing with a firefight where you've invited all your friends, it's completely different. Well, we say that so lightly.
Yeah.
But it's completely different than you defending yourself in your home by yourself.
100%.
They're totally two different firefights. And in some cases, in a single shooting, like where you're protecting your home, getting that distance is a great thing. Also, sometimes pressing a great offense is a great defense sometimes because it throws them off and they have to react.
Well, it's the whole violence of action, which is, the violence of action is how America's military and law enforcement operates, and that is a large part of why, we put so much foot to butt. And just because a lot of places move in and they do it methodically and slow, where a lot of our type of tactics are, hey, your door's going to get blown through your house and then there's going to be a half dozen guys in there right after that.
Which is hard to defend against. Here's another thing too, is if you have your large group of friends and you're prepared for this fight and you do have to press, you're pressing because basically there's a stalemate.
Something needs to give. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because, you wouldn't be pressing otherwise, because otherwise everything would already be good. If you're pressing, something's wrong and you have to make that correction, basically.
Defense and offensive, all kinds of stuff like that.
Right. Well, we'll do one more rule, quote, rule of a gunfight. In 10 years, nobody will remember details of caliber, stance, or tactics. They will only remember who lived.
They live to tell the tale.
Yep.
Well, that just reminded me of Clint Eastwood and Josie Wales.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that reminds me of.
No, it does, yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is, all I remember is the Whistling Dixie.
Whistling Dixie, yeah. That's funny.
All right, well, we should probably take that quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about the rules that... not that Matt's made up, but that he has so carefully put together and compiled as a list of information for us to hopefully be able to take on the next threat that happens to us without us having to run around the house gathering things up. Hopefully we'll have something together already.
Yep.
And that's the whole thing, is to get you thinking for yourself. Here's some good information so that when you do make your decisions on how you're going to approach your protection plan or whatever it might be, this is it. So stay tuned with us so you can catch more of this information. We'll be right back with you on the firing line.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
On the air with the Midnight Mystic is one of our regular callers, truck driver Charlie.
Well, I just seen another one, Midnight Mystic.
Another Griffin, Charlie?
I'm telling you, they're all over the Central Coast now.
How long have you been on the road now, Charlie?
2, 5, 8 weeks, I don't know.
Perhaps you should park the truck and get some sleep, and maybe the Griffins will disappear.
Well, there it is again. I'm going after it.
What does it look like, Charlie?
Holy mackerel. It's got the body of a lion and the head of an eagle.
Is it flying, Charlie?
It's on the side of a white truck.
Is it a Griffin plumbing truck, Charlie?
Could be. I don't know. I'm pulling right up to it.
We seem to have lost contact with Charlie, but I'm sure he'll be okay because Griffins, just like the good folks at Griffin Plumbing, are here to protect and serve. In fact, if your plumbing devices are threatened in any way,
call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani. Be a part of today's show by calling 888-625-1440. Or if you're in the Santa Maria area, please call 928-1440.
That's right. You are on the firing line. Give us a call at 928-1440. We are talking about rules of gunfights and, things you may or may not should have on you. Or, I didn't know that just came out wrong, but things you might want to have on you. So we're going to switch gears a little bit from just the, kind of the rules to a couple different scenarios to have some fun with. Now, 2 different types of gunfights here. I'm going to paint the picture kind of. One, you just have your everyday carry gear on you probably, like you might have.
For most people, that would be nothing.
Well, let's talk about then real quick what everyday carry might be for, a responsible armed citizen.
Okay.
Obviously right off the bat, a gun is going to be involved, and it's probably going to be a pistol because chances are you're probably not going to everyday carry a 12-gauge shotgun.
Bummer
big time. Well, you could get a Serbu, that'd be kind of cool. But in EDC, everyday carry, 99.99 of them, it's going to be a pistol.
I want a holster for my AR pistol.
That's called a sling.
And a trench coat. Gotta have something to cover that.
He definitely has the trench coat, that's for sure. EDC stuff. So you have your EDC pistol. You have a gun. Whatever gun you have, I don't really care. Pick a good one. Don't go cheap. Caliber, I don't think really matters.
I'm so practiced with my MP. That's what I think I would carry.
I know, me too.
But the truth of the matter is I have an HK-45 USP sitting at home that I know will flawlessly work for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I got plenty of ammo to go with it.
And I think it comes down to is what are you wearing when the fight breaks out, or what's the closest to you when it breaks out?
I was actually thinking what was going to be the most reliable, because if that's going to always work all the time, then that would be the one you'd want to go with.
Good point. And that's going to be a huge part of it for me. Whether it's a Glock, an M&P, or an H&K, those are kind of 3 of them that I'm going to trust, and there's not a whole lot of other ones beyond those that I'm going to be 100% about.
Yep.
So we're going to have our pistol. With the pistol, we're going to have hopefully a good quality holster. Hopefully we're not just tucking this thing into our belt and heading about the day.
That would be uncomfortable.
Yes, uncomfortable indeed. Along with a gun and a holster, you should probably have at least 1 magazine, I would think.
At least.
That's what I'm saying.
I would rather have 2, 3, maybe even 4 pistol mags.
Yeah, well, the more the merrier, really. And, some people might, well, Joe said he wants 4 pistol mags, he's crazy. But let's just say, most of the malfunctions you get in a pistol are from the magazines.
Dump that magazine in my pouch and get another one out real quick.
Exactly. And if you're in again, this is something where we're talking about where that there's going to be we'll say 50-50 chance that you're actually going to be getting in a gunfight. So if there's a 50-50 chance, then wear 4 magazines. Why not? Hell, wear 6. When it comes to that, the more the merrier.
And we're not adding the other stuff like our AR and stuff because this is everyday carry.
Yeah, this is just
so it's not like you're overloading yourself.
No. Well, it would be a lot to have that many pistol mags, but 4, realistically 2, 3 mags. That would be, anywhere other than California would be over 50 rounds. Here with one in the gun, you'd have 40 rounds, 30 or 40.
That's like with my 5.7, dude.
Yeah.
I've got magazines that hold 30 rounds for my pistol.
Yeah.
So, 4 mags, let's see, that's 60, 120 rounds. That's 120 threats that I could stop if I was really, really good.
Yeah, really
and they all
accurate.
stopped with one bullet.
Yeah.
But I
Really
gotta
small,
ask,
teeny ones.
where are you guys keeping all these magazines? Because for a girl, that type of everyday carry isn't always as practical as it is for men.
But okay, let's just take it to a single extra magazine. How is it hard to put one extra magazine on either your hip or wherever you want to carry it on your person?
For me, it's not an issue, but I know that not all girls dress like me.
Okay. Well,
What kind of statement is that?
Well, no,
there's dresses, there's shorts, there's skirts. Not every girl wears a belt every day.
It's not so much a thing. It's not so much directly women as it is the clothing choices.
Sure.
So with that being said, if you're going to go out, you should put on the right clothing if you're going to be carrying around this type of stuff.
The truth of the matter is, though, women, just like guys, have a waist. Yes, you can put as many rounds around that waist if you're wearing pants and a belt.
Yeah.
When you walk away from that and you're wearing the dress, I don't know much about dresses, but...
Don't lie. But they do make...
That's why the show's over. There's bad publicity out there, I'm telling you.
But they make the concealed carry purses for women, too.
Right.
That,
Garter belts that conceal.
All kinds of stuff. And just, if you have the purse and the garter, you could probably keep 2 pistols and 3 mags on you.
Right.
So, I think that kind of answers your question a little bit. That everybody has to make an exception to the way their body is and the way they dress, but for everybody, it's possible to carry some extra magazines.
Oh, sure.
I was just thinking, the girls that do like pin up and go around with their boyfriends who have like the 50s cars and they wear their hairdo kind of like they did in the 50s. Think of all the places you could hide mags.
Oh, man.
They're already doing that. They're
and
just
stuff.
not 50s pinup girls.
Awesome. That's perfect, though, dude. You can have mags everywhere.
All right, so let's say we got our gun, we got our reliable pistol, we have our extra magazine or 2 or 4 for Joe, and we have holsters and magazine holsters for these. So
because I can't hit anything.
Nothing.
Takes all 4 mags. Just take down 2 bad guys.
What else
On a good day.
would you guys think would be good to have on you?
A knife.
That's one that I had listed, a knife. Not necessarily just for having to poke somebody with it, but there's lots of use. A knife is a great utility tool. Not to mention, if you do get into that close quarter and the gun is inoperable or whatever it is is still a weapon at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if you know how to use it right, then it can be extremely effective.
A knife, like a gun, if you've practiced at it,
Yep.
you can be very deadly with it. And a knife is more deadly than a pistol in close combat range.
Yeah, and knife wounds are pretty darn serious.
Oh, dude, I cut you open from your neck down to your left leg. I guarantee you, the world's going to change for you.
Well, a knife will
Maybe.
never run dry.
Yeah, you don't need to reload it.
You don't have to.
It only gets
right.
wetter.
Yeah.
Wait a second, this whole thing just went wrong.
No, we're on the right track. So, okay, knife. So we got our knife, we got our gun, we got our extra mag. I think I only have 2 more things on my personal list that would be good. I think a flashlight. A lot of times, a large percent of the times, things don't happen during the day. It's that simple. Most people, predators and, people who are out to rob other folks, they're not usually doing it even though we are seeing it get more and more brazen, but generally it's not happening when the sun's out and the birds are singing.
Right.
And especially if you take it to a scenario like we're talking about where it's a gunfight, who knows how long you're going to be there or what you might be having to look at with the flashlight. It might be broad daylight, but...
That's why I like having a flashlight on my gun. You notice I have a
that's
holster
a good
that
point.
carries the light on my pistol. I never have to worry about the 2 being separated.
Right, and that's a good way to do it. I think that's one of the options of carrying it. Of course, there's plus and minuses to both. Obviously you don't want to aim your flashlight at something just to look at it with the gun attached. I think that's where the handheld comes in, but having the gun-mounted light is probably the better choice as far as keeping things simple.
There's a lot to be said about that. There have been a lot of studies that show that at nighttime, most bad guys are going to shoot where the light is.
Right.
So in a sense, the light can be bad because,
It can draw
especially if
fire.
I've got it in the front of my gun, guess where their rounds are going?
Yeah, right into
It's
your
going
hand.
towards the So the only option that I can use the light for, and the only reason I would use it in a firefight at nighttime, would be to identify my targets.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, you only leave
Exactly.
that light on for, just one. Bzz,
And once that light goes on, you can guarantee I won't be in that spot when it goes off.
We're back to talk about movement then.
Absolutely.
Changing your
And
direction.
Well, it all exactly, and that all kind of works together. I mean, that would be one of the tactics. We're talking more about the gear we're having right now, but yeah, that would be part of the tactics of it. Once you shine the light, like I've told you, Kanani, you don't want to stick around and start looking left and right with the light turned on and turn yourself into a lighthouse. You want to give it that little exactly.
Yeah.
But so you give it that one click and then you move and you give it another click and you try and especially when it's low light and you're using a flashlight, you really want to make the most out of your peripheral vision at that point too, and try that way you don't need to hit the you're not looking just in the hot beam of the light, but the spill of the light is actually doing you some work too. All right, so we got our gun, our extra ammo, we got a knife,
a shotgun.
A shotgun.
A shotgun and an AR. If I had a pistol, a shotgun, and an AR, I would be happy.
All right. Can somebody please give Joe a pistol, shotgun, and an AR so he can be
I'll put the shotgun in
happy?
a scabbard on my backpack.
Okay.
The AR will be slung.
Gotcha.
My pistol will be in a holster.
Uh-huh.
And in that same backpack that my shotgun's in, I'm going to put, I don't know, I've got 2 kids.
I was just going to say you don't have to have the 2 boys carrying ammo for all that.
Well, I was thinking tourniquets and medical equipment because,
you're
you're right, though. I don't have to carry the ammo. All I have to do is carry what I need.
Yeah, Sherpa.
Yeah, boys.
But I think something you just said brings me to one of my next points is some sort of medical aid, whether just something simple. I keep a tourniquet on my person usually, and I think if at the very least if you're going to get into a fight, bring at least one emergency kit.
At least,
and that's probably one per person.
Well, a good emergency kit will have enough to treat 2 to 3 people.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. But I would say at the very least you should have enough to treat yourself. Of course, so in case you get hit, somebody can treat you. But if everybody has one for themselves, then that should do it.
That's true.
But yeah, even having like an auxiliary backpack full of extras would be a good way to go there.
That's
too.
what I have at home.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do it because as you run low, you can pull from that and refill.
Yep.
So, for everyday carry type stuff, that you can fit on your body without it, being seen basically, we're talking pistol, magazines, knife, a little bit of medical, maybe a tourniquet or a bandage, and the light, so that's really it.
That's some good stuff. What about armor?
Well, that's the thing. As far as everyday carry, most people aren't going to be wearing armor unless you're like a police officer or something.
Like I think of everyday carry as going to the grocery store, picking up kids at the, whatever the park it is or their friend's house.
No, and that's
your regular everyday stuff.
Right.
And
And
I
that's
wouldn't
what
think
I'm
of
thinking
body armor as being synonymous with that.
Oh, shoot, man. I'll wear my body armor.
Well, that brings me
Just
to the
to pick
second
up the kids from the babysitter.
The second view of it. So we have our EDC carry. So we just kind of talked about that's probably what you would have. But let's go if like there was a Red Dawn situation and the crap hits the fan and
okay, I want my pistol, my AR, and my shotgun.
All right, can somebody please get Joe a pistol and
And a
shotgun?
small trailer to put all this in so you can carry it around.
What?
So,
That's not fair.
I think when we talk about that situation, it changes drastically on what you're going to be carrying because having a pistol is only going to be a little side note at that point. Because if you're going into something like that and you make the choice to just bring a pistol, you're making a very stupid choice. You should definitely, if it's something like that, bring a rifle. Again, that would be probably the time to put on your body armor too. If you had, if something was going on and you had 5 or 10 minutes, then yeah, do what you can do, put on your body armor, whatever it is, but try and, just like you would do for anything else, try and game it a little bit, plan it,
It's funny you say that, game it, plan it. That is so true, and so many people don't realize this. It's like when I teach the Women's 101 and I teach my Friday classes at Tactical Guns and Gear, One of the things that I try to iterate is that you should look through your house and determine a general idea of how things will transpire at your house if something happens.
Right.
That's why I moved my kids in my room to a different wall for their beds. Is because I'm contemplating on where the rounds are going to possibly end up from my gun and from the bad guy's gun.
Yep.
And so when Matt says, you've got to think things out a little bit ahead of time, I don't think enough people really do that. They buy a gun and they think, okay, I've got a gun in case something happens.
And that's good enough.
Right. But it's not, because people don't take in consideration cover, hard cover, soft cover. They don't take into consideration what kind of ammunition they have, what will it do to somebody. Where are these people going to be shooting? Where am I going to be shooting? Where are my rounds going to
largely people don't take into consideration what the bad guys are going to have.
Right.
A lot of times people just think, well, I got whatever. I have my Glock 19, and that'll be enough. But might not be enough if the guys coming into your house have AKs and shotguns.
That's a scary thought.
And it's not like it's unrealistic. So that's where you need to be able to even the score and bring something similar to that
and,
to the
and
table.
It's not that far-fetched. I mean, we've heard about Santa Maria PD being involved with other law enforcement agencies in our own area, raiding gang houses where they have gotten crates of fully automatic AKs
uncovered
that have been
AKs.
brought across the border.
Yeah, which is crazy. So it really isn't that too far-fetched. Will it happen? Hopefully and probably not. But could it happen? Absolutely, yes. All right, so so now we're wearing body armor. We're carrying a rifle. What else would we want to add to something like that? I mean, I'm going to say you're going to need more medical. Footwear is going to go along with that. I think that's a good idea. Yeah,
I don't think enough people think about that.
I actually think about that all the time.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do.
Well,
you're going to think about your footwear even if you're driving down the street and your car breaks down. You're not going to be able to hike, a quarter of a mile to get to a, yellow phone on the side of the freeway to call for help in your high heels. Well, I'm not. So, always having a pair of sensible shoes.
I don't have any.
No.
But always thinking about what your shoes are. I mean, I think about that.
And that's a good one, and then because that's literally, no pun intended, that's from the ground up. Because if you can't move, then you're pretty much useless here, when it comes to a fight, unless you're sitting in a turret or a bunker. Okay, so
nothing like slipping and falling in the same spot you were trying to get away from.
Oh, jeez, no kidding. So we got good footwear, body armor, a rifle. We have expanded our medical kit to probably have a little bit more type of, serious trauma stuff in it.
Well, it's funny because like in my medical bag, I have sutures. Yep. I have things to clear the throatway.
Yep.
I have quick clots.
Yeah. And that's all stuff that, if when things are zipping through the air and people are getting plugged, that's good stuff to have. It seems a lot of people, and the thing is the medical stuff isn't cheap. It's expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they get into the shooting sport, and shooting's expensive enough. Ammo and weapons and everything, it adds up. So a lot of people overlook the medical part of it because it's another expense, and it easily adds up to hundreds of dollars quickly. You can go and buy a Johnson & Johnson $9.99 little first aid kit, but that's what we call a boo-boo kit. Those are Band-Aids. You can't put a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound and expect it to do anything.
Although I will say this, you should have a lot of Band-Aids in that bag.
No, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You should definitely have that boo-boo kit with you, but don't have a boo-boo kit and call it good. Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, yo, boo-boo. Where'd you get that cut?
So, all right. So now, also, we have all our friends that have guns. So I think we're gonna need radios or some sort of communication.
100%.
Cell phones might be working, and maybe we can just put in an earbud and leave it on and do a conference call or something.
Okay, what is the new kit that we have advertised at our shop?
Oh, it's like a Bluetooth.
That thing is awesome because you can be talking to somebody with a mic set with your cell phone and be on the other side of the country.
Yeah, those are pretty wild. So, and they're not real expensive, so just some way that you can communicate with, especially if you're with a group of people and everybody's shooting bullets downrange, you want to make sure that it's coordinated somewhat, because the last thing you want to do is shoot your friend or have your friend shoot you. That's not how you win.
You know what? There's one last thing to add to this kit. Smoke.
Yeah, because that's how you're going to break contact. It's concealment. it's a good way to do it. So, lots of things to think about when building these kits.
I was actually thinking one other thing you guys didn't mention was keeping your head about you.
Oh yeah, well that comes with, that's a good comment.
Practice does for
yeah, mindset first.
Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. Have an absolutely fantastic Thanksgiving. Have lots of turkey, get real fat, and we will be back on the firing line next Saturday.